Maya Patel, it's an absolute honor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I
Excited to.
I want to share with the audience who you are in my life and how important you are because you have known me since I was a kid. You are actually my aunt. You're much more than that, but what you mean to me at least is you are my aunt and you've been really big part of raising me and actually introduced me to my wife. And I will share this for the first time. One of the first people I ever dated, and immediately within 5 months we were engaged, and just speaks to how much I adore you and endear you in my life. And you mean so much to me, and I'm super excited for this conversation today because I think you have so much to share. You have stepped into so many different roles in your life, and I think there's a lot of lessons and gifts in all of those stories and those phases of your life. So I'm really excited to pull all that out of you today. So thank you for being here. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for your words. It means a lot to me too, as well, because I've known you since you were a little baby, and I see this grown man, and it heartens me to see you grown up like this.
Well, let's kind of start. Tell us a little bit about the foundation, and then we'll kind of we'll ping pong all over the place. But you're the CEO and one of the founding members of a very large family foundation. So tell me a little bit about the foundation and your role in the foundation.
Sure. It's a family foundation. We officially started in 2008, and it was just three of us trying to figure out how to make this work. With a large family, we wanted to make sure that our children also were able to grow with the foundation and learn. And that was the genesis of the starting of it. And we also included the extended family, and which was, I think, the most exciting part of the whole journey. We wanted to make sure that everybody got a taste of what it means to give and what it means to be of service. It really was more about that than anything else. And the foundation has grown year by year, and we're at a really solid place now where we can actually do some impact. And we're working with large organizations, not only just locally, but nationally and as well as globally. And all of the work that we do, we think about ourselves and we put ourselves in their shoes and think, what do they need? We don't have the answers. We want to know what they need. And we really work with relationships, making sure that what the ask is isn't something that's coming from us because we don't have the answers. But overall, our foundation has focused on education, which has been a big part of our journey, health and human services, and economic empowerment. And we've broken them up into different pillars now, and we're calling them human transformation, crisis and threats, and inclusive mobility. It's a wide range of pillars and a lot of impact that happens in them. But I think because we're a large family, we have a lot of voices. We want to make sure that everybody gets heard, and we want to represent everybody. And so some of them might not really fit into a certain pillar, but we still want to engage the family in this journey. And that's the biggest goal of our family, is to make sure that everybody gets a chance to participate.
I love that. And I'm part of the foundation, and we started this really early, and I love how you guys have structured it. And I think people really need to understand that, one of the most important things you guys instilled in us at a very early age was the education of philanthropy. Like, you almost formally educated all of the members, but especially kids at a really young age, about what it means to give. How do you give? What is the process and the procedures and the mechanics? And it's a business just like anything. And to learn that at a very young age, I think, and then to actually do the work, right? To travel around the world and contribute and to build and to help people, like it instills this contribution part of you. But I think that you can say that there's a lot of power in numbers, but also, you just mentioned it, you have a lot of voices. Everyone's got their own direction. Everyone goes through different phases of their life too. So people come in and out of the foundation. So how do you manage that? Like, I know there's a brain trust and you work on this primarily, most of your time, but like other people it's not their day job, let's call it, right? Or people are coming in and out of it, whether they go to school or they're out of school or they get married or they have kids. Like, everyone's going through their own phase. You want to be receptive to other people, but like, how do you manage that and keep the foundation continuing to move forward?
I think we've seen a lot of cycles. We've been doing this for 10 years, and we see that there were kids that were, in middle school, and then they transitioned to high school, and some were in college and got married. So we have an open door policy. We leave our doors open, and we engage with the children or adults as needed. And we structure ourselves in a way that we have discretionary grants that we can work on with them, or if they fit into a certain pillar, then we work with them in that way. If there's something that they want to do as a project for school, or if they want to do something personally, if they have some connection to their work, whatever it is that they want to do, we try to find organizations that fit that bill for them. And that's basically how I think that open door policy has been. And a lot of them came for the summer for internships, or they did little small skits with us and then they went off. But I think those seeds that we had sown early on really fructify later in life. You won't really see them now. You'll see them later. And I think that's the beauty of the whole process. It's not something that you have to have today. I think in one act of service, one trip that we took to Cambodia or to India or to, Costa Rica, it can be really meaningful. It doesn't have to happen at that moment, but I think years later you can experience and go back and have that thought that, I did this, this was something I did with my family, or I met these amazing people while we were there. And those small experiences build up to a larger process. And I think that's where the beauty is. So open door policy, leave it open whenever when they're ready, we're ready. And we have a team now that kind of manages the day-to-day and making sure that we're getting our work done. We still have to do all of the work. That doesn't ever stop, but family engagement is a part of the whole equation. And we put a lot of time and effort behind that. And we're hoping this year that we might be able to plan another trip, which would be a nice surprise, because that's been a long time in coming, and COVID is kind of just shut us down. But so we don't want to ever stop that. I think the momentum, the love and the care that we take in bringing all of our children and our, nieces, nephews, everybody to come together is so important for us that we don't want to lose that thread. And it does ebb and flow as people are transitioning through life.
I love that. I mean, you have to have a lot of grace and create a lot of space and a lot of patience for that process, right? Because, they're not employees, but you want the best for them, and you want everyone to learn and participate in this journey and experience that in their life. But you still have a foundation that you have to run, and you have to get things done, and you have to, allocate funds and help people. And there's real work to be done too. So I just want to commend you on how you manage that. I've always thought about you as my aunt, and not that you weren't before, right? But I've always looked up to you as my aunt, or aunt of my cousins or my sisters. But you've taken on this leadership role in the business. Tell me about that journey for you, and what have you learned in stepping into that role? Was that something that you were just called to do? Was it something that just fell in your lap and you had no choice but to deal with it? Tell me about how that happened, and then also your journey of what are the lessons you learned, and what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
Sure. Yeah. So I think it was the timing. I think the timing was right. Right around 2008, 2009, most of my children were in high school or going into college. And so there was some open space for me. And I think that's when the opportunity came up, we have this amazing foundation that we're launching, and what can we do? What do we want to do? We get to make it what we want to make it, And I think being a family member and having that voice and having the knowledge and the journey, being through the journey, growing up in Africa and coming to this country, the whole thing, I've been part of it. So, and our success in the business is also we were part of. We worked, day and night during all of those early years in the 70s with the motels and all of that. So I've experienced every moment of that. And so when this opportunity came up, I felt wow, is this a calling? Is this a purpose? Is this what I want to do in my life? And I had to ask myself that tough question. I really did. It wasn't just I'm going to just do this. It took me a while to really process it and think, if I go in, I want to go in. I want to go in deep. I want to go in with my heart and my mind, and I want to do it with, I want to earn the respect. I think that was the biggest part for me. Just didn't want to have it handed to me or given to me. I wanted to earn it. And so I dived in. I went to the conferences. I did all the calls and just learned, kept absorbing as much as I could. And those are the things that I feel like were so powerful for me, and that's where I realized that this is my passion. This is something that I really want to do. And it wasn't so much about the giving back, but the opportunity, the opportunity to lean into something that I, as a woman, as an Indian woman, can step up and be proud of and see and be seen, because a lot of our culture, the men are usually the ones that kind of are up there and represented really well. Women sometimes don't get represented that well. And I felt like a mother of 4 children, 4 girls, I needed to do something. And so this was my moment to like, okay, I can do this. I can have my family and I can, run the foundation, and I can also do everything else. And, and I did, and I think that's such a wonderful feeling to be able to say that today, 10 years later. You're like, oh, wow,
you should be proud.
Yeah. So that was my journey. I think it was a calling. Definitely I had to introspect and think, was this something I wanted to do?
As you stepped into that leadership role, though, like, were there things that you were blindsided about, things that were more difficult than you expected?
Absolutely.
You do have a voice and you're not shy to share it, but like to really own that role is something different.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of self-confidence issues first off, just learning to be okay in my own skin, being able to speak on panel. There was a lot of learnings that had to happen, right? And I'm coming from a place that I've never done this before, so I had no idea. Had to learn the language, had to learn so many things that I didn't understand. I didn't even know how to say philanthropy at that time. Like, what is that word? Like, what does it mean? It was such a like, you're being plucked out of this world and you're getting put into a different place that was so new to me, but I was up for it. Yeah, I just went for it.
I love that. You talk about this a lot, and you are a woman minority, right? And you grew up on the other side of the planet. You came here, built a successful family in life, and you speak a lot about being an advocate for women and minorities. What is your hope that your voice and the work that you do has for women and minorities?
I think, just being acknowledged is one of the first things that I think acknowledgement of any human is the first thing that I feel like needs to happen. It doesn't happen enough where you don't get seen, and there's ways that we can change that, and see that where are we coming from? Like, I always look at myself as like, where's my heart? Is my heart in this? Am I thinking with my head or am I thinking with my heart? And, women tend to be able to do many things, and they are multitaskers and they take on the world. that's just, I don't know how it happens.
The future is female.
Yeah, that's our world. We live in it and we're okay with it.
That's right.
But sometimes you need some reassurance and you need a support system and you need other women to support you. I think that's the number one thing that I've learned, is that if it's not the men that are sometimes in the way, it's the women. And if we overcome that, then I think that, like my sister, my aunt, my niece, whoever, my friend, come together, because I don't want to step over you to get somewhere. I want to be with you. I think that's where the collaborations and coming together, cooperating together and working together makes it so much easier. Take the competition out of the room, because, we're all in it together. We all want to get somewhere. We in my world want to make the world a better place. And so that was really easy. I think that's maybe only possible in the world that I live in, because, we don't have to go and pitch anything or earn that dollar. We're blessed to have something to give back, right? So I don't live in a competitive field. I work in a different area than most entrepreneurs or business people work in. That's the difference between. That's what I kind of differentiate.
I also feel like your upbringing and your humility allows you to be really successful in your role. Like, where you have such an extreme amount of humility. Like, where does that come from?
I don't know. I've seen my parents, I've seen my grandparents, I've lived, with many elders in my life, and I've had a deep connection with really some amazing human beings that I think just by watching them, learning from them, and them leading by example is what I kind of picked up on. And I don't know where humility comes from. I just feel like it's something that I always want to be. I hope that's such a wonderful compliment. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's
True.
something I would love to keep aspiring to. I think humbleness is incredible in this day and age.
And you manage a big household. You got grandparents, you have a husband, you have four grown, I mean, the kids are grown now, but like you still are a mother of four daughters. You run a large family foundation. Like, how do you manage it all? What is your secret to success in managing all of it at the same exact time and keeping it all together, really?
Yeah, I think balance. I think I'm terrible. I'm not a good organizer. I'm always looking for planners. Like, how do I figure this out? Somebody help me. But it's just every morning I wake up. What's my intention? What do I need to do? And I first say a prayer, and that prayer is my intention for the day. And if that's my clarity, I am clear from that moment on that I step out of my bed. And once I'm out, then I'm okay. I'm ready. What do I need to tackle today? And just have compartments. I have like compartments that, okay, today's going to be the foundation day that I need to tackle these items. And then this is the farm day because I also run the farm. So, okay, the
That's
farm, what do
right.
we need to do with the farm, which is my passion project. I mean, I love, love, love the farm. So there's so many wonderful gems in my life. I've got the foundation, the farm, I've got my family, my extended family. So for me, it's like waking up every morning just being happy and blessed. I'm so blessed. I cannot complain about a single thing. If I ever complain, I'm not happy. It's like something's wrong with you, Maya. What are you doing? I have to check myself because I don't have anything that I can
That's
complain
so
about.
beautiful. I often go to you for parenting advice, and I'm I'm trying to parent two young, rambunctious little kids, but you've raised four beautiful girls so effortlessly. What is what are some of the most important lessons as you look back at raising all your children, and they are now old and have left the nest, but like generally speaking, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned in raising independent, strong women?
I think, I definitely did not have the answers. I did not know what I was doing, always scared to death. Am I doing the right thing? And am I a good mother? Questioning, asking, learning, reading, completely like vulnerable all the time. I was never comfortable. I was always scared, like, okay, did I do the right thing? And my children had a lot of health issues throughout their, growing up years. And so it was very difficult for me. I was always consumed by whatever they were going through. And so was I actually giving them what they needed? Was I being authentic to them? Was always a question. But then I left it. At some point I was like, okay, this is the best I can do. I'm
Right.
giving it my all. I don't have anything left. This is it.
Right.
And after that I left it, and things worked out. And my faith, really, my spiritual faith helped me the most, because then it separates me from taking all that responsibility and just letting nature take its course with them. And
I love that.
I think children are so intuitive, and they already have everything that they need. They just need a support system, and I think that's what as a family, I had a really great support system, and all of them helped me raise the children. It wasn't just me or Sunil, it was all of us that were there for them. And that is beautiful. I think that's what give them the confidence. That's what gives them the ability to get up and go, and know that there's, if they fall back, there's always somebody that's going to help them through it, and that's the extended family. That's everybody, all of us around each other can lean on each other. Where else can you get that? So I feel the biggest blessing in my life has been my family, and I look at them as my mentors and my saviors.
If somebody is sort of new to philanthropy, and I think that the philanthropy world is sort of a ecosystem that most people engage with at the later part of their career or their life, right? Just based on like socioeconomics, like how people work most of their life, and then they're like, okay, now I want to give back, right? But I think if you can interlace that more in your everyday or every month or what have you in your life, like what are some really simple, easy ways to engage in philanthropy for people who don't have a family foundation or people who don't really know where to go? What are some really easy steps to, engage that part of your life?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. There's so many simple things that we can do, and it's one quick note was when the children were growing up. We used to take them to these, forums and things like that, and they were like talking amongst different peers, and they always said like, we don't have any money to give. We don't have any money, but I can give my time. I can give I can make a really special something for you, or like it was very innocent, but very like simple things that really made us realize that it's not about the money. It's really never is about the money. It's about your heart and giving, right? Like an
Right.
act of service.
Exactly.
Right? That's exactly what it
It's
is.
about
And
an
that's
act
how
of service. That's right.
act of service, nothing more, and if you can just see and acknowledge that human being that's next to you, or is acknowledge them and say, oh, what can I do? Can I hold your hand? Or, let's talk. What do you need? Whatever it is, the simplest things are the most powerful things. And so volunteering, doing things that you can do even through at home, like making kits, or there's lots of activities that you can engage your children in as well. And it doesn't have to be just, the parents that are doing it, but the whole family can get into it and do something, writing cards, giving elderly people some love, and talking to the homeless person that's on the street, acknowledging them, things like that. Very simple things.
I mean, we're kind of here in the last couple of days of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And as you reflect on this past year, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned in 2021, or maybe some of the most difficult things that you've learned as you take into 2022?
I think one of the biggest things for me was I was always looking on the outside and trying to please everybody on the outside and make sure that everybody was well taken care of. But there came a point when I had to go inside. And
that's not the nature of an Indian woman in a household. I don't know what you're talking about. Taking care of everyone else except for yourself? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's nothing. But yeah, that was big for me. I was like, okay, I need to take time and space for Maya. Maya needs to be well taken care of. I need to take that, mask and put it on myself and say, oh, I need some space. I need some time, and ask for it, and be okay with that. So that was my number one thing. And also like socially, trying to fit everywhere and go to every event and try to be everywhere all the time. I just can't do it anymore. And I realize that I'm happier being at home. I'm a homebody, basically. And so just making adjustments in what is important, what is not important, and just going back to nature, just spending more time at the farm or being out taking walks, and simple, everyday things, making meals together, just letting go of all the fuss and all the excess and just being real. That was it.
What are you most looking forward to for 2022?
Well, lots of things. I think for us is in work. I'm taking this big role as CEO, and I think that's going to be really challenging for me. But I'm in it again. Let's see what the next few years look like, and we just want to make more impact. We want to make sure that we get more people what they need, and make this place a good place to live, and to leave it in a better place for the next generations that are to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. How can people find you or the foundation if they want to engage?
I think we have a Instagram page.
We'll put all the links in the thing, but I wanted you to.
We've got a lot of cool things like that we can all engage with. But I'm always available, and I'm happy to speak to everybody. And I just, thank you for this opportunity.
And my final question as we wrap up here is, to you, what does it mean to be rich?
To me, what it means to be rich is to have a rich family, a family full of love, a family full of togetherness, connectedness. That's rich equals family to me.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Maya Foy.
Thank you.
And love you very much. Thank you for sharing all of that, and just want to really honor you for all the work that you do, not only for the foundation, but for the family and for the thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that you guys impact on an annual basis. And you guys are such a great team, and just really I want to honor you for that and all the work that you guys do.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.